Hello, Rebecca. I'm still trying to learn how to do this, so I hope everybody will be patient with me. Hello, Susan. This is, as I was saying just a minute ago, my first time ever doing a live, so I hope this is working out. I know I don't have my camera on yet. So I hope everybody is doing well. I'm going to do a little subscriber giveaway to the people that entered in a little bit. And other than that, maybe talk about a little prepping for a few minutes if somebody wants to, and get out of the way for other people to go live. Seems like there's a lot of lives all the time, and I don't want to step on nobody's toes. One thing I got to figure out, maybe Eddie will be in here in a minute, but I can't remember how to go in and set up moderators and all that stuff. Well, I believe I give you and Rebecca both blue wrenches now, hopefully, because I know you two. I won't do that for everybody, just people that I know I've interacted with on lives before. And I got to try to get this Nightbot working. Yeah, Rebecca, I don't know about how to bring people up on panels and all that stuff yet. And just to make it easier on me, being my first time, I think I'm just going to kind of do this by myself. And then as I get better at it and learn how to control everything, uh, I'll start having people up on panels and things. Sometimes I think it gets confusing for people when you've got 5 or 6 people all trying to talk at the same time, too. And I started a few minutes early, but I also wanted to make sure everything was working like it's supposed to. My internet is definitely not the best in the world. I hope we can get through this. I'll give everybody time to get in here. And 13 people that entered the giveaway. Or I guess I should say 13 people that followed the directions to enter the giveaway. And hopefully, as I get more comfortable with doing these lives and can start doing those more often, maybe I can build me some watch hours up, because that's definitely something that I'm going to start losing at the end of the month. Of course, I didn't start this out to get monetized and try to make money off of it. This might be boring for people. Like I said, I'm just trying to get started on this. I believe I can pull that wheel of names up and share it on the screen. Hello, Dave. Yeah, 3 a.m.'s early. I think I'll have to get up about 5. I appreciate you stopping by, though. But yeah, that's kind of how my luck went. I had to work late today, and so I come rushing in and try to get all this set up and ready to go. Five to five, that's them 12-hour shifts. I sure don't miss them anymore. Hello, Stephanie. This is a live stream. This will be actually my first live stream. And I posted a video and left some instructions in a video a week ago on how to enter a giveaway. And that chance to enter the giveaway ended at 5 o'clock today. You're more than welcome to stick around. If you got any questions, type them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them. But welcome. I certainly appreciate you being here. Hello, Brian. Appreciate you coming in. we'll kind of give everybody time to come in, and then I'll spin the wheel and pick two winners. But I hope everybody's doing good this evening. I certainly appreciate everybody coming by. Real nice to see some of my people that I interact with a lot, Rebecca and Susan for certain. Of course, Coffee Outdoors, he's got a lot of good trapping videos, and I've watched him for a long time. And Brian is a new subscriber. No, Susan, I don't have nothing set up on Nightbot yet to drop any links or anything. I'm going to try to get with Eddie and get that set up, but Eddie stays very busy, so. And Dave, my son works in a factory. He works 4 in the evening till 4 in the morning, 12-hour shifts. And I used to work in the underground mines, and we basically had a starting time and no quitting time. So it was common for me to work anywhere from 12 to 16-hour shifts, 6 days a week, 90 plus hours a week. I quit doing that. And those 12-hour shifts will definitely cut into your trapping time. I see why now you're talking about trapping on days off and during vacations. Thank you, Susan. I've got Nightbot, I guess, downloaded and installed, but I just really haven't been able to figure out how to do a lot of that stuff. I'm definitely not no computer guru, and trying to enter those commands and stuff just all a foreign language to me. Hello, budget preppers. Appreciate you stopping by. So, and if anybody's got any questions about prepping, type them in the chat there. I'll definitely try to answer them. I'm by far no expert, but that is something that I've been doing since 2007. Yeah, Rebecca, I figured he'd be in here since he entered the giveaway. And him and Steve was kind of challenging each other in the comments on that video about who was going to win. So. And another thing that's coming up, which it's actually the big show is going to be March 16th, 17th, and 18th, I believe, something like that in 2024. They're going to be a huge preparedness and bushcrafting and homesteading show in Eastern Kentucky. They're going to be 300 vendors' tables, and some of the biggest names in bushcrafting that you see on YouTube are scheduled to be there. Sean Kelly from Corporal's Corners is one of them that's got over 1 million YouTube subscribers. Buckeye Bushcraft, Camp Creek Outdoors. 14 quarts of tomatoes, Susan, or are you canning the tomatoes or are you making juice? Yeah, that was one thing I didn't do this year, budget preppers. We didn't really do any canning this year. We had so much stuff put up from last year that we just really didn't have room to add anymore, to be honest. Yeah, anybody that's homesteading and gardening, this, well, actually started about a month ago, is a very busy time for everybody because everything's coming in and you got to try to get it canned or froze or put away. 7, it's 7:10, so probably about 7:15 I'll go ahead and start spinning that wheel and picking those winners. Uh, Probably just do this for about 30 minutes tonight unless people just really want to hang out. I don't even know who all does do their lives on Wednesday nights. I know a lot of them are on Thursdays and Fridays for certain. Tuesday night seems to be busy. Are you using the Harvest Right freeze dryer budget preppers? Yeah, I had an offer to buy a Harvest Right medium for a very good price, and I probably made a bad mistake by not buying it, but I just really didn't know how much I would actually use it. But all I hear is about how great they are. So, like I said, for the price I was offered on it, I should have jumped on it. So, what we do here is, well, I guess canning would be the biggest one, and then we put some stuff in the freezer, and which we've got several chest freezers. But I know one year one of them got unplugged accidentally. We lost a whole freezer full of stuff, and I, so I'm kind of getting away from freezing a whole lot of stuff that we plan on keeping and needing later. Which I hope I never need none of this stuff, except unless I'm just wanting it to eat that evening. Yeah, Rebecca, as many hats as you make, I don't see how you have time to do anything. Yeah, Susan, it was. Mostly stuff out of the garden that we had put up. A lot of corn and green beans. Uh, didn't really have much meat or anything in that particular freezer. So after that did happen, that was when we started canning a whole lot more. And of course, everybody went through that spell. A couple of years ago, you couldn't buy a canning jar or a canning lid or nothing else. If you didn't already have them, you was in trouble. Yeah, power outages is pretty much a common thing where I live at. Uh, if you, I think I know everybody around me owns a generator. Of course, it's all family around me as well. But yeah, our power goes out so much it's just routine to go out and start the generator up. Now, long term, I know that's not going to be an option because to run our generator with what we run is at least 5 gallons of gas a day and probably closer to 8. Yeah, Susan, we couldn't get by without a generator, and especially with my wife having some of the health conditions that she has, uh, we need to have reliable power. So, and I don't know what all you intend to run on a generator. That was one mistake I made. Of course, it was in the middle of a winter storm when I bought my first generator, and it was just too small really to do what we needed it to do. I could keep the refrigerator and the freezer running off of it, but that was about it. And so after a year or two of that, I ended up buying a bigger generator. It's I think 10,000 surge watts and 8,000 run watts, so we can run what we need to run, and such as the refrigerators, freezers, lights. Uh, my wife has to use a heating pad and a heated mattress pad due to her muscle conditions. Yeah, I've got some of the small solar panel kits from Harbor Freight I've played around with, but they just no way they can do what I would need them to do as far as trying to run a refrigerator or freezer or anything like that. But they will keep batteries charged up to keep my ham radio gear running. She's got they call it dystonia muscular deformis. It's basically like Parkinson's disease. So they treat it the same way with the same medications. She's 50-year-old now. She's had this since she was 11. And of course, it's progressively got worse as she's got older. But she does all right. Yeah, Susan, that's one reason I went with that All American canner. Uh, I've got one of the Presto ones too, but I ended up buying the bigger All American because I thought, if it went to the point where the power wasn't coming back on or didn't look like it was coming back on, and we keep enough canning supplies on hand stored away that we could start emptying the freezers out and canning that stuff over a fire on the outdoor camp stove if we had to. Yeah, I like that All-American. It's very expensive, but it's kind of a buy once, cry once, and hand it down to your kids, and they can probably hand it down to their kids on that All-American. That thing's built like a tank. We actually inherited one from my mother-in-law when she passed away, a smaller one, uh, which I ended up changing the gauges and putting everything on it new, which didn't really cost that much to put new latches and new gauges and pop-off valve and all that in it. And then I ended up buying one 2 years ago, those All-Americans. Can't remember the model number on it, but you can double stack quart jars in it. It's not the biggest one that they have, but the step down from it. It was about $450 though, I believe, when I bought it. But I'm gonna go ahead and try to pull this wheel of names back up, and I'll go ahead and spin this wheel and pick these two winners like I said I would do. And I'm certain they can watch the replay of this later. We'll mix these names up about 3 or 4 times and spin this wheel. Brian, you picked a good time to be listening because you're one of the winners. And so I'm going to remove your name since you won. And we'll shuffle this up a few more times. Hit spin again and see who the second one is. Mark J. Larson. So, Brian, what I need you to do, my email is scrolling at the bottom of the screen there. And Mark J. Larson, if you're not in here yet or you see this later, I need y'all to send me an email to my address, KentuckyPrepper5@gmail.com, and give me the address that you want that mailed to, and I will certainly get it out in the mail to you. In case, I'm sure there's probably some people here that didn't see that video, but what I'm giving away here is what we call a rapid ridge line. So if you need to build you a quick shelter while you're outdoors using a tarp or a poncho or whatever, you can take this paracord and stretch this between 2 trees real quick, clip it in this figure 9 carabiner, they call it, and get you a shelter up real fast. And as you can see, this stores up its compact, small size. And so I was building a few of these and I decided, well, I'm going to give a couple of them away and see if somebody wants to try to win them. So we've got 2 winners. And I definitely appreciate everybody that watched that video or watch any of my videos as far as that's concerned. And Susan, my number 1 prep item is probably food and water. And I kind of lump those 2 into one category. And I've kind of got a video. I mean, there's basically 5 things is the way I look at it. You know, you have to have food and water. You have to have shelter. You need to have a way to communicate. You need to have some medical supplies and the skills and knowledge to use the medical supplies. And you need to have a way to protect yourself. But, you know, it's kind of, the old saying is, you know, is 3 minutes without air, 30 minutes exposure to the elements, 3 days without water, and basically 3 weeks without food. I believe I could probably go more than 3 weeks without food looking at me, but I'm fortunate enough where I'm at that I have access to spring water. There's also a creek nearby, and plus I keep some water in storage, and I have several ways to make that water safe if it was needed to be. The spring water was tested, it's been a few years ago, and it was really good. There was no issues with it whatsoever. It was the water source that my grandparents used, and they raised a whole lot of kids and a whole lot of grandkids and never did kill any of us with it. It just never would produce enough water for modern living. I actually remember they didn't have running water in their home. They had a small pipe that come off the hillside where the spring's at to a number 10 wash tub out behind the house that run into the wash tub, and you went outside with a bucket and filled the bucket up and brought it into the house, and it sat on the countertop in the kitchen. And of course, later as they got more into modern living, they put in a bathroom, and she ended up getting an automatic washing machine instead of the old wringer washer. And they ended up building a block cistern to store more water, but even with that, it just couldn't keep up with having a bathroom and everything. So they ended up having a well drilled. But the old spring's still there, and I keep it cleaned out, have it available. Now, I see you mentioned chlorine tablets. The one thing I keep on hand is the pool shock. And you have to watch. There's, you can actually get a pool shock that's like 98% pure. It don't have any additives in it. And a quarter teaspoon of that will make a gallon of bleach. And then you can use 11 drops of bleach to make a gallon of clean water. Or you can basically use a quarter cup of that pool shock to a 55-gallon drum of water. So I've got, I keep the pool shock on hand. I've got the Berkey type filter and a bunch of these little Sawyer mini filters. We keep chlorine tablets, bleach, and you can always boil it and pre-filter it before you boil it. And I see Camping Cage Free. I'm sorry if I missed you when you came in, but welcome. I appreciate it. There's Appalachian Outdoors. Appreciate you stopping by. I did spin earlier there and pick the 2 winners, which was Brian Pierce and Mark J. Larson Outdoors. And possibility I'll see Appalachian Outdoors here in the fall. And yeah, Susan, that pool shock works really well. Like I said, you just have to watch and make sure you get the type that don't have all the caking and the additives in it. Uh, I don't have a pack of it handy. Maybe the next time I do a live, I can have a pack of it here so I can show you exactly what it is. I know when I bought it, it's in a like a red looking package. Yeah, Appalachian Outdoors, that's me. If good Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I'll see you down there at Turkey Foot there. And Susan, go online and if you'll just type in Google and search pool shock for purifying water, uh, there's a lot of information there. And I mean, it's reputable sources, you know, World Health Organization, uh, some of the people that deal with overseas in countries where they don't have very good water. That's one of the main ways they use to get them good, clean water is pool shock. Brian, I got your email, so yeah, I'll get that in the mail out to you. Yeah, I've got the big bags of baking soda. I picked them up at Sam's Club. And it's just so easy, and I've got some videos on my channel talking about it. You know, just sometimes the little simple things that you just overlook that you'd really need if it came down to it. And of course, prior to the pandemic, I was the crazy one in the family. And I think that pandemic opened a lot of eyes on people. It's fine, Appalachian. No problem about being a little late. Uh, just glad you stopped by. Glad you entered the giveaway. And maybe it'll be you the next time. Yeah, Susan, we used to have what they called the Kentucky Preppers Network here in Kentucky, and they was all over the nation, and this was in 2007, 8. Uh, it was a big thing. We used to have group meetings and do classes and learn a lot of stuff. And there was a guy there that talked about the pool shock, and I still remember he kept saying 1/4 to 1. Uh, so you use 1/4 of a teaspoon or 1/4 of a cup. 1/4 to 1, 1/4 to 1. Let it sit 30 minutes, and then see if it's done. So, and of course that depends on how dirty the water is. Oh, Mark's Trapping Outdoors. Appreciate you stopping by. We're kind of talking a little bit of prepping today, and I done a giveaway a little bit earlier. Let's see. grab a book here and I'll show everybody. Light will quick glare on it so bad. Emergency medical responder, first on scene. This is a really good book for just general basic first aid. It's what they use to train first responders, firefighters. You can probably pick that up used on Amazon, because that's the thing about most medical books like that, student textbooks. About every 2 or 3 years, they come out with a new version so they can sell more books. But there's really no significant changes or any really in the book itself other than the cover. And this is a 9th edition. I think they're up to 11 now, and I've got 9, 10, and 11 because I need it for my job. And that's why I say there's really been no significant changes. I think one of the biggest changes probably from the 9th edition was the way that you actually treat shock in a patient now. The old adage was, when I first started doing first aid medical stuff years ago, was if the face is pale, raise the tail. If the face is red, you raise the feet. Well, you don't do that no more. You don't elevate the feet or anything like that. It's basically just keep them warm and comfortable and reassure them. And that's definitely something we could do one night too, sometime in the future. If that's something people would like to do, is actually get into a good discussion on medical supplies. I think sometimes people overlook just how much medical supplies you actually probably need to have on hand. If you've ever had to treat anybody at home that had a pretty significant wound that you had to change dressings on regularly, you'll see how quickly you go through bandaging supplies. And that's the other thing too. Everybody wants to get into the tactical side of this stuff, and everybody buys these individual first aid kits. These gunshot treatment kits is what they are, and I've got some of them. But to me, you better have a really good basic first aid kit in place first, because the odds are you're probably going to have a sickness or a cut or a sprain. Odds are a lot greater for that than they are for a gunshot. I keep telling everybody, if you're different Mark, Rebecca, is Mark J. Larson was the other winner. But the odds of suffering a cut or a sprain or an illness of some type is a lot greater than getting a gunshot wound. And I tell everybody, if that's your biggest fear, then you need to move. Yeah, some of you probably might know what I'm talking about, but my grandmother thought Mercurochrome was the cure for everything. And if we did get cuts or scratches or stuff, we didn't want to tell her because we knew she was going to daub that on it and it was going to burn like the dickens. Yeah, that's the one thing, Susan, I'm not very good on is using the herbs and all that other stuff. And I think I mentioned it in a comment on one of your videos one time or something that that's the one thing I wished I'd have done now, but it's definitely way too late, was paid a lot more attention to what my grandparents were doing. Uh, they're not here now. I can't ask them those questions. And when I was younger, I was like, well, I don't want to learn how to do that, or I ain't got no interest in that. And now it's like I wished I'd have paid a lot more attention and learned a lot of the skills that they knew and took for granted. Which that's the one thing I tell a lot of people. They talk about, being a prepper and everything, and a lot of that stuff is what the people in Appalachia did all along. They just called it daily living. Hello, Steve. Well, Steve, I got good news and bad news for you. The good news is Devil Dog didn't win, but the bad news is you didn't win either. So, yeah, Appalachian Outdoors, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just something we've always done here in East Kentucky. I know when I was in the military and I mentioned to people that, I remember not having running water and they thought I was lying, thought I was crazy. And this was, 1987 when I went into the military. And people's like, oh, nobody don't live like that. Well, there's still some people do, but yeah, when I was young, I remember very well my grandparents and not having running water in the house. And of course, my dad had went to Ohio and took us with him and to work at one time. And he came back here. We moved into my great grandparents' house to live because that was where we had to go. And it didn't have running water, didn't have an indoor bathroom or none of that stuff until he put that stuff in place. But yeah, there's so many of these old ways and things that people don't know or don't practice no more that uh, I believe we're going to end up having to go back to them. I really do. I just keep a bad feeling about what the future holds. Good night, Rebecca. I really appreciate you coming by. And I'll probably wrap this up here in a few minutes. Steve, you going live later on tonight? Hello, big man. I appreciate you coming by. I seen you was hanging out with Coyote quite a bit. Yeah, Appalachian, I went for a long time where I wouldn't even think about having a garden or nothing. I despised it so much when I was young because I was forced to go out there. And then I ended up coming back to it. And like I said, wished I'd paid a lot more attention. Yeah, big man, I'd say that was probably an adventure and you survived it to spend time with Coyote. But, yeah. Appreciate Appalachian. We'll be doing some more of these and there'll be some more videos coming out. And if nothing else, I'll try to see you down there at Turkey Foot. Yeah, Susan, the bad part about it is, I guess we thought we was getting punished when we was children and they was actually trying to teach us something and we just didn't see it that way. But yeah, I'll probably go ahead and go 15 more minutes. I guess that'd make it an hour long. That'll be at 8 o'clock. And that way people can get off and go jump on other live streams and stuff. And I know Steve said he's going at 8:15, which I think that's probably 9:15 for me. I'm an hour ahead of you, I believe, Steve. And again, we've got a lot more people in here. I'll start talking a lot more in videos and stuff when it starts getting closer to March. But yeah, that show that they're going to put on over here in Eastern Kentucky is going to be huge. Uh, they done one this past spring, which I went over there. Uh, there was quite a few people there, uh, but nothing like what they're going to have this next go around. Stivers Homestead was there. They was one of the speakers. If you've ever watched Stivers on YouTube, they're in Eastern Kentucky. Really nice people. But this next one, there's going to be some really big YouTube content creators there. As far as the bushcrafting side of it, as of right now, I will be there teaching a class on bug out bags. And I don't know about who all from the homesteading community, but there's supposed to be 300 vendors tables set up. I know there was people there for selling Harvest Right stuff this past one they had. People selling beekeeping stuff and honey and lots of medical supplies. They're having a gun show. Same people's putting a gun and outdoor show on in November. That's going to be a pretty good size show too. But okay, I think I got my back anyway.